What is the most horrible thing you've done to another human being? I beat up an autistic kid who wouldn't stop touching me. I just turned 15 and my doctor says I have severe anger issues. I've been trying to keep myself in check, but sometimes, people just keep pressing my buttons. There's this one kid at school named Jimmy. Jimmy has autism and is very touchy. Him and I take the school bus home together, and for some reason, he's chosen me as his target. It started off with simple harmless comments like, "You're sexy," or "Let me take you on a date." I assumed the school bullies put him up to it and were taking advantage of his special needs. I felt bad for him, so I just let it slide. I'd say things like, "Thank you, Jimmy," or maybe "Another time, Jimmy," in an attempt to dismiss his jokes. This worked for a while, but things began escalating and I couldn't take it anymore. After a couple weeks, Jimmy began touching me. I would lightly push him off and tell him that I had enough and wanted to be left alone. He wouldn't stop. He'd caress my shoulder and rub his hands against my face while saying things like, "Come on, Kyle. I know you want me." None of the other kids would try to help me either. They'd just laugh and take videos of me getting harassed by this kid who clearly had no idea what he was doing. What was I supposed to do? I didn't want to burst out in anger because I knew that would give me a bad look, given his special needs. I couldn't keep letting it slide though. It would just get worse as time went on. One day, I got on the bus after a long day of school. I was already tired and in a bad mood because I had just failed a really important test. I violently threw my bag on the chair and sat down. "Oh, what's wrong, Kyle? You had a bad day, babe?" Everyone started laughing as Jimmy continued teasing me. "Not now, Jimmy." Jimmy got up from his seat and walked over to mine. He sat down next to me and began rubbing my leg. "I can make you feel better, Kyle." At this moment, everyone took their phones out and started recording. "I'm serious. Leave me alone." I threw his hand off of me and turned my head to the side, facing the window. I felt like I was going to explode. He set off a fuse in me that was going to blow if he didn't stop. Jimmy leaned into my ear. "Just relax, Kyle. I'm here for you." Suddenly, he reached out and violently squeezed my manhood. I howled in pain and pushed Jimmy with all my force. He fell to the ground and was laughing hysterically. I looked around and almost everyone was recording me and laughing. I couldn't hold back my anger any longer. I had enough. I stood up and began swinging at Jimmy while he was down. He postured up on his knees and tried blocking my shots, covering his face. I used one hand to pin his arms down and used the other hand to repeatedly punch him in the face. He began screaming for help, howling like a dying cow. Everyone went silent. The bus driver turned around to see the commotion. He slammed on the brakes. The force of the stop sent Jimmy and I flying to the back. I slammed my head on one of the chairs as I fell back, which fueled my anger even more. In one fell swoop, I got up onto my feet and grabbed Jimmy again. The bus was stopped, making it easier to punish him. I gripped him by his hair and started slamming his head into the glass windows as he cried. The bus driver got up and darted towards us. As he got closer, he dove face forward and tackled me. I was violently shaking and screaming at him to get off of me, but it was no use. I looked up at Jimmy, who was holding his head in pain and crying hysterically. Blood gushed from all over his face. I looked up in horror and my heart sank to my stomach. What did I just do? My whole body went numb as the driver kept me pinned down. After a couple seconds, he got off me and screamed at me to get off the bus. I got up, grabbed my bag, and did the walk of shame towards the exit. Boos and heckles echoed through the bus aisle as I walked off. Everyone was clearly on Jimmy's side. Once the bus drove away, leaving me on the street, I started crying. I felt terrible for what I did. I never wanted to harm Jimmy, I just wanted to be left alone. The next day, I got word that I was indefinitely suspended from school. I've also just got word that Jimmy's parents are planning to press charges on me. Is there anything I can do to recover from this?